Kia ora, welcome back to my channel. It's been a year since we lost David Lynch, so I'm gonna paint my nails red and talk about the impact his work had on me. I'm gonna take off my ring, don't want to get nail polish on that. I have a red and a clear top coat. I'm not doing a base coat, it takes forever to dry, so we're just going in and I'm gonna chat. This is a Kmart one, it is Scarlet. I first knew of David Lynch when I was about 15 years old because this group that I went to, there was one person there who was a huge Twin Peaks fan. She would talk about it a lot and I didn't understand at the time why she was so obsessed with this old show. I didn't watch it, hadn't really heard of it, but she was a huge fan. And I kind of thought about watching it, but I couldn't find it anywhere. And I didn't know how to illegally download things. I just remember her talking about it quite a lot, talking about David Lynch, and then I just forgot about it. You know, we parted ways and I forgot about David Lynch. My fiance and I connected over cinema originally. That's how we first started talking when we were in the talking stage of our relationship. We were talking about cinema, and when we moved in together, which was less than 3 months into our relationship, risky move, but it's worked out for us. When we moved in together, we ended up in a really unfortunate flatting situation where the people we were flatting with they were doing not so great things out of the flat. Oh my god, it was so Lynchian. Oh my god, I didn't even make that connection. I can't say what it was, but it's Twin Peaks in real, I guess. Anyway, but we ended up being pretty much isolated completely to our bedroom. And so what we did was we would watch a lot of movies. For my first peek into David Lynch's work, because I'm a little weird and kooky, my fiance figured that I would be a huge Lynch fan. The first thing we watched was Eraserhead. Now you got to bear in mind, when we were in this unfortunate flatting situation, I was miserable 24/7 and I was the S word. So anything that we watched during that time, I pretty much didn't like, and I was just grouchy all the time because of how stressful everything was and how everything was going for us. And we watched Eraserhead, and I enjoyed like the first 40 minutes or so, and then it kind of started to drag. And I was already in a bad mood, and I just didn't like how long it was. And in the moment, I was like, no, this isn't a very good movie. But then after the fact, I was like, actually, yeah, that was pretty good. Which is a very common thing for me. I often won't like something the first time I watch or listen to it, but after I've finished it, I realize, oh, actually that was pretty good and I had a good time. I do not really remember Eraserhead at all. If we were to watch it again, it would feel like I was watching it for the first time. And we haven't watched it again, but it's something that I want to watch when I'm pregnant, because there's a lot of debate of what does Eraserhead mean, and to me, I think it was David Lynch had a child and he was terrified of fatherhood, and that's what it is. I just got nail polish on my pants, and so I really want to watch it again while I'm pregnant. I feel like David Lynch's works, you can watch them at different stages of your life and they will mean different things to you. So being child-free and not long after our miscarriage, but being child-free, not sure if we were going to have kids, it kind of didn't hit as hard as it does in retrospect and hindsight. Nowadays, I think it would hit a lot harder because we are trying to get ready and, you know, do all the stuff you need to do as a queer couple to get ready to have kids. So it's something that I want to watch again while I'm pregnant. And then the next thing we watched was Twin Peaks. Now we started it and we didn't finish it. We'd gotten through season 1 and like a couple of episodes of season 2, and I feel like we missed out on the really good parts of season 2, of the first half of season 2. The second half kind of feels like it should have been like a different season, but the first half of season 2 we didn't see like the peak. We didn't find out who killed Laura Palmer. Last year, maybe at the start of last year, I think I decided like, hey, I want to revisit Twin Peaks and watch it again. So we decided to start from the beginning, and I was able to enjoy it more this time because I have really bad facial blindness, so I couldn't remember who everyone was. But since we had already watched it and knew a lot of the established characters, it was a lot easier for me to follow. So we started watching it again. We got through season 1. We got through season 2. The reveal of who had done it really, really hit close to me. And also the more we learned about Laura, you learn more about how she's not a perfect victim. And we finished season 2, and then my fiance told me, oh hey, by the way, there's actually a prequel movie. And we were trying to figure out when to watch the prequel movie because we didn't know if it had spoilers for season 2 or like of who the killer was, and it does. Do not watch the prequel movie first. The way Jennifer Lynch, who wrote the book The Secret Diary of Laura Palmer, the way she says to watch it is watch season 1, watch the first half of season 2 up until like the episode where it's revealed who the killer is, watch the prequel movie, and then watch the rest of the show. But we watched all of season 1, all of season 2, then watched the prequel movie, and then we had started on The Return and we still haven't finished it. I think we got distracted with other things. I've also read the book. I bought a copy of the book. Quite frankly, I like the book more than I like the show. And I like the movie Fire Walk With Me more than I like the show. And I think that's because I just have this insane attachment to Laura Palmer as a character because I relate to her in so many ways. Her story, what happened to her, leading up to her death. I just find myself really relating to Laura Palmer. The people that know of Laura's story of what happened to her starting from when she was 12, like that happened to me, except I was 6. And when we watched Fire Walk With Me, I swear my brain chemistry changed watching that movie. This was going to be me talking about David Lynch's works, but really it's mostly just me talking about Laura Palmer because I'm one of those delusional people that think I could have saved Laura. I know she had to die, but like part of me thinks if we had had each other, that things would have been different for both of us. Obviously she's a fictional character. I found myself having a really hard time after watching Fire Walk With Me and reading the book because Twin Peaks is older than me. Fire Walk With Me is older than me. I could have come across this huge franchise at any point. And if I had come across Laura Palmer's story when I was younger, say I'd come across her when I was 12, I think my life could have gone in a very different direction. The sky is crying for David Lynch right now. As I'm recording this, it's the 16th of January. The sky is crying for David Lynch. But after watching Fire Walk With Me, I was having some really hard feelings. I was thinking to myself, how is it possible that a man could write a character like Laura Palmer if he hadn't gone through the things she had gone through? And there's a scene in Fire Walk With Me. And that scene hurt to watch because in that moment, David Lynch had put on screen the feelings that I never dared say to anyone. I don't want to give spoilers for the show if you haven't seen it. That scene was like, oh wow, someone has put into a visual medium the feelings that I felt laying in that bed.
Who are you?
How could he possibly know? How does a man know what it feels like to be a young girl and that happening and the feelings that it causes?
Stay away from me. I'm so afraid of death. I'm so afraid that no one will believe me until after I have taken the seat that I fear has been saved for me in the darkness. Please don't hate me. I never meant to see him or let him in.
How did he know? So Fire Walk With Me, I haven't been able to watch it in full since because it just hits so close to home. That movie is in the top spot on my Letterboxd top 4, and I honestly don't know how it could ever get bumped down. And I found myself thinking, God damn it, why didn't I watch this movie sooner? Not only because of the impact it had on me, but because David Lynch was dead. My fiance told me that a lot of survivors had sent David Lynch letters saying, I feel so seen by you. This movie is the perfect representation of what it's like to go through that. How did you know? And I was gutted because I couldn't send him a letter. I couldn't thank him because he was gone. And I knew before David Lynch died that when he died, I was going to regret not appreciating him more when he was alive. One day, I was on TikTok, scrolling through. I was starting to get a lot of Twin Peaks stuff popping up on my For You page, and I came across the account of Jennifer Lynch, his daughter who wrote The Secret Diary of Laura Palmer. And I hadn't yet read the book. I had ordered it. I had a copy on the way. And I thought to myself, her DMs were like open. Some celebrities, they'll have like, you can send them a DM and it goes into their requests. Some people have it fully turned off. She had hers like set to message requests, and you could send one message and then you can't send anything else unless she accepts your DM request. It was on TikTok. And I thought, celebrities never open their messages. This is perfect. She'll never see this. She'll never see this. So I composed a message, almost like a letter, that I would have loved to have said to David Lynch. But I said it to her. And I don't remember exactly what I said, but it was basically along the lines of, you know, I'm a survivor. Your dad's work hit really close to home for me. I can't believe it. Thank you. Like, thanking her because I couldn't thank her father. And I sent it, and that gave me a bit of peace. And I thought, okay, I can start to process all these hard feelings, start to feel a little better. And I've like sent my thank you. Because even if David Lynch was alive, I don't know how I would have gotten a letter to him. How would I have gotten a letter to David Lynch, one of the biggest directors of all time? It's really raining outside. Sorry if you can hear it. And so I was feeling a bit more at peace. I just realized, how am I going to paint this one with my microphone here? This hand is probably going to be a little janky. Whoopsies. And I was like, cool. You know, how would I have sent a letter to David Lynch that would have been like borderline impossible? I don't know his mailing address. You know, I don't know if he had a PO box. And I was starting to work through these complicated feelings of being mad at myself for not watching Twin Peaks sooner, because I think it could have really helped with my healing journey. And I started grieving Laura Palmer, because even though she's a fictional character, her story just felt so close to mine. And all throughout last year, I was on the verge of joining her. I had a lot of feelings of like, I just wish he had done what her perpetrator had done to me. I wish he had put me out of my misery, which is a really, really dark thought to have. But I was so depressed, so miserable, not feeling creatively fulfilled. I wasn't doing enough. I was mad at myself. I started trying to make a movie just like before I turned 20. And so that was 5 years ago. Damn. Okay. But I couldn't like wrangle the people that were going to be my actors. And then I went through a breakup, and so that kind of really threw things out of whack. And I kind of was having a lot of feelings of like regretting not making my movie. I was going to go to film school in Wellington. I had been accepted. I flew to Wellington alone to go to an open day. And then I met my fiance, and I kind of had a reason to stay in the town that I live in. And so I was feeling a lot of regret of like, well, why didn't I just go? Why didn't I just go? Why was I so scared? You know, I'm never going to be a filmmaker. I'm never going to be able to make a movie. And that was breaking me. And I felt really jealous of David Lynch because he created such obscure works, but was able to be successful with it. And I thought, there's no way in hell I could ever get funding for my weird ideas. So, and I still feel like that. Like, there's no way in hell I would ever get my weird ideas funded. I love writing. I write screenplays for fun. I wish it could be my job. I wish I could be a filmmaker. And then one day, a few days after I'd sent that message to Jen, she accepted the request, which I wasn't expecting that. This was supposed to be me talking about David Lynch, but I think Jen Lynch has had almost more of an effect on me because of the book. I don't know what I love more, if it's the book that I love more or Fire Walk With Me. Those two works have had such a huge impact on my life and on my healing journey. But she accepted the message request, crazy, and she replied. I don't remember exactly what she said, basically just like, thank you, and she asked if I'd read the book, and it kind of sounded like from the way I was talking about it that I had read the book, and I was like, no, I haven't read it yet, I have a copy on the way, I'm so excited. And then she followed me back on TikTok, and I cried. I genuinely cried, because in that moment I felt so seen, and I felt like a piece of me was healing. A piece of me that was upset that I hadn't found him sooner, that I hadn't found her sooner, was healing. Like, okay, she knows what an impact she's had on me. And I genuinely think that Jen Lynch is one of the coolest people I've ever had the pleasure of talking to. I met someone a few months ago, October maybe? I met someone in October who had actually gone to an event it might have been in Christchurch a few years back, and they had met Cheryl Lee. And I thought I could never possibly top that. I was like David Lynch had Skyped into this thing. I don't even remember all the details, but I was amazed. I was like, no, how do you even top that? How do you talk to someone cooler than Cheryl Lee, who plays Laura Palmer? Or how do you top talking to David Lynch? Not one-on-one, but him Skyping in to this event. How do you top that? Well, I topped that, didn't I? I talked to his daughter. She's not just oh, that's his daughter who is just proud of his, no, she wrote the book. That is her book. She wrote The Secret Diary of Laura Palmer, and I spoke to her, and we're mutuals on TikTok, and she posts pictures of her dad all the time, and behind the scenes. Laura Palmer healed something in me, and I know I'm not alone in this. I know a lot of survivors love Laura Palmer and feel seen by her and feel seen by Fire Walk with Me. People don't like Fire Walk with Me, which I simply don't understand. If you're a Twin Peaks fan, how can you not love that movie? I guess people don't understand it, and I get that. It can be kind of hard to understand the Lynchian style, but I really do feel like Fire Walk with Me is quite straightforward, That movie means the world to me, and I think it will always be in my Letterboxd top 4. I don't know how I feel about my makeup look. I had a lot of reservations about it. The red lipstick I had to have red lipstick, but I don't know how I feel about the eyeshadow. I was going to just talk about David Lynch's impact, but his biggest impact on me was with the character of Laura Palmer. If you know what Laura went through, then you kind of know what I went through, in a way. I am very hesitant to talk explicitly about what happened to me, because legally I don't really know if I'm allowed to. I said to my fiance, I love Laura Palmer, I really relate to her, but also I feel like I can't relate to her completely because I was so young when my abuse started. My fiance said to me, if you can't find the representation that fits you, it just means you need to make it. And after reading The Secret Diary of Laura Palmer, I've gotten back into writing a lot. And I'm revisiting my old work that I wrote during a very, very dark time in my life. I'm trying to rewrite it so that I can move on as a writer. As a child, I really wanted to write novels. As I got older, I realized I prefer the visual medium. I love filmmaking. God, I love filmmaking. But for now, something that I can actually do is write a novel. That's something I can do. Anyone can write a novel and self-publish it, I need to write something that young me could have related to, because I still have a hard time relating to anything that's out there because of how long my abuse went on, and I think there needs to be more representation. And David Lynch and Jennifer Lynch make me want to create, and Laura Palmer makes me want to create. And so I've painted my nails because I miss David Lynch, and sometimes I feel like he's the only person that could have possibly understood me and what I've been through and what it feels like. So it would be nice to create my own little community of people that understand and create some weird works and maybe self-publish them. I can't give up on being a creative. I'm only 24. I'm turning 25 this year. I can't give up on being a creative yet. I would regret it on my deathbed. This got deep. This got heavy. Sorry about that. My next video will probably be a lot more cheery, a lot more normal. I haven't decided what it's going to be yet. I haven't done a top coat on these ones, but they're dry and the top coat this is still sticky. The top coat takes forever to properly cure, so this is my dominant hand, so I might not do a top coat. And I'll just let it chip away and it'll be fine. Oh, hold on. Getting a little Laura Palmer with it. Okay, thank you so much for watching this video. If you watched this far, good on you, because this was a heavy one. I will see you next week with hopefully a more normal video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.